I like the water industry because we're essential. What we do actually matters, and what we do makes a difference. Um, the challenge, it can be technical, it can be regulated. It's often invisible work. When everything runs well, no one notices. But when something fails, everyone notices. So it's just trying to keep that balance of your passion for it and dealing with the challenges.
Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. It's a great kickoff, and I'm really excited for the two guests that we have today. When we get to the Q&A, we're going to do that twice here because this is really about providing information that you want to know about. Welcome to Dr. Gilbert Barela. Gilbert is a past president of the California Water Environment Association. He is the mechanical systems superintendent for Jurupa Community Services District in Southern California. And he is also a published author. Chris Castaing is operations and maintenance manager for the San Diego County Water Authority, the place with all the great weather and all the good water. So Chris, how did you get into this? What was your first big break?
Yeah, good morning, everybody, and appreciate that first question. It's always nice to kind of share the story. Everybody has their own unique story and how they got their foot in the door. In my background, I'll go back to high school. Everybody's, oh, what do you want to do? And I'll age myself by saying this was back in 1990. Oh, I want to go into the Air Force. And coming to find out, when you're partially colorblind, going into the Air Force and being a pilot is not really an opportunity that you have in front of you. So pivoted at that moment and went to the local junior college down here in Southern California, Palomar College, and started taking general ed because, as everybody knows, and this may not be the popular quote to say, but you've got to go to college in order to make any good money. And so went ahead and went in there and started taking some general ed classes, got a part-time job after my morning classes delivering hay from a local feed store where I live, and ended up realizing, hey man, those paychecks are kind of nice, and ended up schooling went on the back burner and started focusing more on that paycheck. And it was good for a while. Enjoyed doing what I'm doing, but it got to a certain point where things had to change. Had a family, was married, had a child, and realized something needs to move on. And where my employment was right down the street from the local water agency. And a lot of my friends through high school had gotten their foot in the door a variety of different ways. And I just so happened to see a job posting for a meter reader backflow tech position, so an entry-level position. Went ahead and threw my hat in the ring, went through the interview process, and that was back in 1997, got my foot in the door as a meter reader backflow tech, and haven't really looked backwards ever since. Have always looked forward. As soon as I got my foot in the door, it was an opportunity. Okay, where do I see myself down the road? And kind of set a career path based on what information was in front of me, and pursued college courses in the water technology field. Obtained my certificate of completion and AA degree in water technology at Palomar College, and then that created a lot of opportunities going forward. Left Valley Center in 2004 to come to the San Diego County Water Authority as a system operator. They had changed their operating scheme to where they went to a 24/7 rotation in the operations side of the house, and took advantage of that, working shift work, being exposed to a larger infrastructure, and then continued pursuing certification and education to where lo and behold, a few years down the road, a supervisor position opened up, and then followed by a manager position. So real short story version, cliff note version of how I got in, but ultimately it was by luck. It's not as easy nowadays, I would say. It's a little bit more difficult to get that foot in the door. So hopefully we'll cover some of those items as we go through this little discussion.
Yeah, times have changed. It's there are, it's good, a welcoming industry to colorblind as well. The person who invented Irvine recycled water purple pipe was colorblind, and that's how we ended up with that purple color. So um, that's a great story. Hauling hay to meter reading. How about you, Gilbert? What was your big break getting in?
Well, I didn't start in water. I transitioned in after the military, law enforcement, government contracting. After I got tired of being shot at, I was looking for another safer field. And my dad had mentioned that since I've always been mechanically inclined, maybe I should try something like a water utility. So I did. I looked around, and I think it's on Indeed or something. It was one of those in the past. Um, IEUA, Inland Empire Utilities Agency, was hiring a mechanic one, I believe. I threw my hat in the ring, and I did well on the interview. They invited me back for like another fit interview, and they offered me the job maybe a week later. And so I started with Inland Empire Utilities, worked there for 6.5 years. I saw an opportunity to get into reliability centered maintenance at Orange County Sanitation District. So I made the jump, made the commute, and I was there for 8.5 years. I saw another opportunity to work alongside a couple of my friends that I had worked with at Orange County who had left at Santa Margarita Water District. So I jumped there. Each time, gaining more experience, more knowledge about the field, and just like Chris, certifications, education. It seemed like stepping stones. Like IEUA, I was a one, mechanic one, up into a mechanic two. Then I went to Orange County, and there I was a lead. And then at Santa Margarita, I was a crew foreman. And then now here at Jurupa, I'm a superintendent. So it does help. It does help gaining that experience, having those certifications and education. It really puts you in a great place.
Yeah, get those certs. There's a lot of lifelong loving. In fact, a lifelong loving of education. You are a PhD. You are Dr.
Yeah,
Barela, which is
I'm trying to wrap my head around that still.
yeah, you've earned it. We do it for a lot of the engineers. They'll go get their PhDs in environmental engineering. So, what drove you to get a PhD, and what is it in?
It is in organizational leadership. It's just something I've always been passionate about, actual leadership. Going through the ranks, you see a lot of bad leaders. Those stick out. I tried to learn from the good leaders, and I knew that one day, if I was a leader, I was going to lead the right way. And that just turned into my dissertation, specifically about leadership within a water utility. And yeah, didn't look back. It was great.
Yeah, like all industries, there's something unique to us. Like the rainstorms happen every holiday weekend and Friday night. So, there is unique leadership stories. Well, what have you found, Gilbert, that you love about the industry, and what do you find the most challenging?
I think that I like the water industry because we're essential. What we do actually matters, and what we do makes a difference. Um, the challenge, it can be technical, it can be regulated. It's often invisible work. When everything runs well, no one notices. But when something fails, everyone notices. So it's just trying to keep that balance of your passion for it and dealing with the challenges.
It's true. I'm in the communications and marketing, and you wouldn't think our business is stressful, but the Washington, D.C. Sewer Authority has just had it's like a 10 or 12-foot sewer main break, spilling hundreds of millions of gallons of sewage. Those communications folks and engineers and operators are under enormous stress all of a sudden. You have emergency plans, and you better have gotten your emergency documents written and planned and even practiced. But even communications can be stressful. Just you never know what's going to happen. How about for you, Chris? What do you love, and what do you find the most challenging?
Yeah, kind of following suit with Gilbert. What I love about the water industry is the unpredictability. The water and for that matter, the wastewater side, it is extremely unpredictable. You may, I always joke about projections, and I have a little crystal ball that I have on my desk when people ask, well, what do you think the flows are going to be, next month or this week? And it is so unpredictable. The weather, the system changes throughout, and I think that keeps us on our toes. And I think that's what makes it very enjoyable for me. Um, in the same context, that's what makes it challenging. Um, Not only the operational aspect, as I've moved up the ladder from being, in that field and overseeing the field to more of the managerial oversight. Um, Seeing that political climate and the dynamics that take place at that level, and how sometimes they're on different sides of the fence in regards to the actual day-to-day operations, and being able to balance that is probably the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I don't know how the GMs do it, but one GM said he just loves the stress. For one agency in far Southern California, they needed to get through 20% rate increases. And on two agencies in the Central Coast, they also needed to get through 25% increases because our chemical and energy costs are, again, this is nothing the workforce needs to worry about, but management and above, all of those issues come up, and the political dynamics are incredible pressure. But if that's for you, then that's what people love to do. Well, we wanted to focus on how to prepare for interviews, because municipal interviews, I think, are a little unique. The stone-faced panel interview, they'll even sometimes have a participant from another agency, because these are municipal or city government jobs, and they want to make sure it's a completely fair and equal process. So let's see, who wants to start today? What do you think, Chris? Let's go back to you. What do you think are the best ways to prepare for those municipal panel interviews?
Yeah, panel interviews are very unique. I think for most of us, when we think back at other careers or job opportunities, it's generally been with a one-on-one with basically the hiring manager. Coming into the water or wastewater side, that panel approach to interviews, and coming into a room and seeing 3 or 4 individuals sitting across the table, all ready to really beat you up, so to speak, by asking those questions, it can be very intimidating. But I think everybody has a different way to address those challenges. Preparation is the key. And everybody does that differently. Some individuals like to basically do mock interviews and practice, go through maybe some practice type questions. I think one of the things that, a lot of individuals that I have seen on the other side of the table maybe not succeed at is looking outside of the box, taking that moment when those questions are asked, not just immediately jumping into an immediate response, but carefully crafting that message going back, and avoiding going down rabbit holes unnecessarily. A lot of times people, they get into that answering of the question and they go down a path completely different. And, as an interview panelist, sometimes you may tune that out, unfortunately, because it's not necessarily relevant. In the same instance, a lot of times people don't look outside of the box when the question is asked in regards to maybe something that is relevant to the question, that to them at first it doesn't seem like it's relevant, but maybe there's some sort of aspect of a previous experience that they can wrap around and actually relate to the question itself. And I think those are 2 common things that I see individuals be challenged with when it comes to those interview panels.
Yeah, that's a good one. Sometimes our mind can just go off into one direction and forget what you were trying to answer. But so preparation, maybe mock interviews, and avoiding rabbit holes. Really try to package your stories into short sound bites. That's good. Gilbert, how about you? What do you recommend?
I would say the biggest thing for me was researching the agency. It helps a lot. You automatically, they look at you and say, like, wow, this guy really knows, or this woman really knows how and what we do here. So that would be my number one. Know their mission, know their population that they serve, the service area, maybe when they were established. Practice your structured answers. Mock interviews, like Chris mentioned, are great. You can never have too many of those. You'll find that a lot of the municipal panels are the same. They're very similar, 3 to 4 people. You're going to have the hiring manager, somebody from that department, maybe not an HR person, and then an unbiased party, which would be from another agency. They'll ask someone to come. They're actually looking for your composure, your clarity, and if you're coachable, if you can learn. I would say also to understand that the moment you walk in the door, you're already being interviewed. They're looking at how you interact with the front desk, the lobby, when they call you back, when you walk into the room. Are you shaking hands? Are you making eye contact? Are you sitting up straight in your posture and the way you communicate the answers to the panel? It's very helpful if you practice all of that. I walked into it without knowing anything. So after multiple interviews, I started to pick it up like, oh, okay, I know what I need to do next time.
Yeah, great points. Be purposeful. You would not believe the amount of influence and even power admins and coordinators have in our industry. They get a lot of the work done, and they'll be that first sort of front line that you meet, and they all talk, and they talk with the hiring managers and then the HR department. So learn people's names, repeat names is a good habit. Be sure to focus on your posture and your approach. And again, be purposeful. So good handshake and eye contact. That's going to make a good difference. I don't think dress is a huge thing. Nice slacks, nice, like I've got a nice polo shirt is enough, but nice and clean, no holey jeans or anything like that. We're not a suit and ties industry, but we do take great pride in what we do and like to look professional. I like the structured answers. You might look at the STAR method of answering. That's one way. Again, in communications, we try to package things. There's a rule of 3 in communications. The brain can only take in 3 different points, to which I'm doing a lot more than 3, sorry. And then researching the industry. Here's a communication tip. If you use data, like Gilbert said, if you repeat back their population, they'll write that down. Oh, you knew exactly what our population served is. One of the tricks you might consider is their special projects. So they all have special projects. San Diego has San Diego Water Works. LA County Sanitation has the Pure Water Southern California. And then the Inland Empire has a special discharge giant program they're working on. So if you call out those programs by name and they're going to let you ask questions, you can ask them, how's that going? Or what's that going to do for your community? And if you can repeat back the name of the program and how many approximate gallons, that sort of attention to detail, I think, will stand out. Chris? Great, good stuff. And they want you to succeed. They are not evil, mean people. They are forbidden from cracking jokes, smiling. Again, this is municipal government. It needs to be fair and equal for everyone, but they are pulling for you. So know that. Is there a favorite question? I think people feel like you're trying to trip them up. But do you have a favorite question you can share with people?
I'll go ahead and oops.
Yeah.
There's 2 that I was thinking about in preparation for this, and there's always the one that talks about, have you ever had an instance or a work experience to where something negative occurred? And it's not necessarily a trick question. What it's looking for and what I've based my evaluation on these type of questions is every experience is a learning experience. No one has the perfect work environment. There's always going to be those ups and downs. The thing that I look for in those type of questions, and they can be worded in very different ways, is does the applicant continue down the negative path, or do they turn it into a positive learning opportunity? And I think for me, those are some of the real critical, because there are day-to-day challenges that all individuals, all team members experience. And that's really the driver of that. The second question for me, and it's actually my favorite one, is at the very end of the interview, and this kind of goes to Gilbert's point just a second ago. Do you have any questions for us? The interview is done. Do you have any further questions for us? That is the opportunity that a lot of individuals that are on that side of the table do not take for granted. That is the opportunity to share. I researched this position. I researched this agency. What are the likes? What are the dislikes? What are some other things that you may be able to share with me as the person wanting to come on board that maybe I don't know about? And I think sometimes that to me is one of the more critical. I can't tell you how many times at the end of the interview, nope, I'm good. Oh, all right. I guess we're done. But it's a huge opportunity for those to really, really share. I want to be here. I have done my research. I'm driven, and I want to know more. So sorry, Gilbert, it kind of took a little bit long on that one, but you kind of fed right into that question for me.
And I would add, you are always going to tell us a little bit about yourself. Make sure you're ready for that. A lot of times people are like, oh, they feel like a deer in the headlights. Like, I didn't know they were going to ask that. But another one would be maybe describe a time when you handled conflict, or a time where you took charge of something. What did you take into account? How did you lead that project? How did it end up? For any of the questions, just think about what they're saying. Take a moment to gather your thoughts, and then just let them know. Tell them. And if I could offer something that was very helpful for me, in these panel interviews, they're going to have a notebook or a binder. They're writing everything down, all of your answers. They're going to ask you the question, and the second you start talking, all their heads are going to drop and they're going to start writing. That's perfect. That takes all the pressure off. Just look at the tops of their heads and tell them. And then you'll see some, watch their body language. They'll be, yep, so you're on the right track. But, you don't want to go down the rabbit hole. You want to keep your answers short, structured, and kind of watch if you're giving them what they want. Or you can ask them, and have I answered that? Or would you like more on that? Would you like me to elaborate? Usually when they look back up, that's it. Like they're done writing. Don't do anything crazy. There's been a couple times where I've had people come in, and at the end of the interview, they didn't have a question, but they wanted the donut that was on the side, like behind. It's like, oh, okay, you can have it. Just really strange stuff. Try not to do that. Think about the questions. They're all the same. There's going to be minor differences between agencies and between panels, but you'll see that they're pretty well the same.
Yeah, good stuff. And they are looking on their checklist for how you're answering and for a good team fit. These are gigantic teams where people need to work together. They're forced together in a trench or a truck or shoulder to shoulder for long periods of time. Are you coachable, and are you motivated to get these certifications and advanced degrees? Yeah, Patrick, we'll come up with a question here in just a minute. Let me get through. How about getting that first job? Gilbert, we'll keep going. So we're practicing for interviews. Now, where do we go to look for that first job?
There's several places. You can go to a specific agency website. There's governmentjobs.com, BC Water Jobs, Water is Hiring, CWEA job boards, local water districts. And don't look past like the smaller agencies. Some of them are really good, and they provide a little bit broader experience than you might not get at a really large agency. Just maybe word of mouth. If you are interested in something, talk to someone who works there, and maybe they can let you know what their job board looks like and if there's any postings available.
Chris, where do you look?
Yeah, I think that was a pretty solid answer, Gilbert. The local agencies, regardless of the size, internships, whether they're paid or unpaid. There are a lot of opportunities throughout all of the different regions in regards to those opportunities, even if it's for summer internships. Maybe it's a 16-week internship, 8-week, whatever it may be, but there's plenty of opportunities in regards to that. Local colleges, community colleges that have water technology and wastewater programs, great wealth of knowledge, great sounding board, as well as potential information sharing in regards to those opportunities. But a lot of online information is available through a variety of different forums, government jobs, BNC Water News, and along those lines, as well as maybe Cal Nevada AWWA and other firms.
Yeah, one of the common ones I like to recommend is take a tour. That'll get you sort of closer to the operators, and even if it's public affairs, they do know quite a bit about the career pathways. And so when you're on those tours, just start asking. And you can, like Gilbert said, the small agencies, like you go inland from here, the coastal agencies are very competitive. I think everybody already knows this. But if you go inland, they're a little less competitive. And then you go to the smaller districts, and they're always seeking people. Even here in Los Angeles, there are very small mutual companies that are good to get on with. Let's see here. This is one I've always wanted to know because lots of people ask. Gilbert, what's a good certificate to put on your resume? So affordable to get, straightforward to get.
I would think like if you're interested in being an operator, an entry-level water or wastewater operator certificate through the State Water Resources Control Board. If you're in a specialized field, a different vocation like mechanical collections, electrical instrumentation, entry-level certificates through CWEA. You don't need any experience. You can fill out the application, pay your fee, and take the test as a grade 1. Safety training is great to have also, and that's another free one. You can go to FEMA. There's a lot of classes online for FEMA, and those help later once you have the job. You can run if an incident command comes up, a position where emergency happens, like you could run that. And then like maybe some OSHA certificates or training, as long as you're out there looking. And then like Chris mentioned, some of the courses like Santiago Canyon College, like it's also good to take a course in that, and you can actually walk away with something a little more than a certificate.
FEMA certificate, that's fantastic. Yeah. You just collect them like Pokemon. Chris?
Yeah, I think the key for me on that one, and Gilbert did a really good job covering most of the bases on there. So without reiterating it, you want those feathers in the cap. Going back to my earlier introduction, when I applied for the position at the smaller agency as a meter reader backflow tech, I had no coursework, no certification. It was an entry-level position. Fast forward to today, majority of people that are applying for the positions, even the entry-level positions across the industry, have some level of either coursework completion or certification. And that certification can be very broad. It can be state certification. You can apply for state certification after you complete those courses at those community colleges, as well as some online courses to where you can get that D1, T1, D2, T2. But ultimately, what is the goal? The goal is, how do you distinguish yourself from those other individuals applying for that position? And the easiest way is to stay driven, take those classes, obtain that certification to where when your resume is submitted, it shows that you are making every attempt possible to try to get your foot in the door, regardless of what level that may be. So kind of just elaborating on what Gilbert said, that's what I would recommend and really hope that people would pursue.
Yeah. And there is a difference between certification and a certificate, which I'll go into if anybody's interested. But let's wrap this up real quick and then get to your questions. So first day on the job, Chris, let's start with you this time. Is there a pep talk you give new members, or is there something you're looking for on that first day?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I think back to my first day on the job, and it was walked into the hallway. There were 8 other individuals in the hallway, and they were all with their back against the wall. The supervisor was sitting in his office. As soon as 7:30 hit, everybody stood at basically attention, and the supervisor came out with a clipboard and said, this, 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 this. And it was like, oh man, all right. Well, I guess first thing observed is be quiet, listen for your assignment, and proceed. Things have changed drastically since that time. But I think what still holds true is that first day, be observant. Really understand the dynamics of whatever division, department you're in, because ultimately what you do not want to do, and this may not necessarily be the right thing to say, is you don't want to ruffle feathers right off the bat. You want to figure out, how do you fit in? You had the qualifications, you were offered the position, you are now employed. You want to make sure you make it through that probation and that you're able to establish a long-standing career in that industry. So I think for me, it's just taking the time to observe, listen, and learn. But at the same time, don't be afraid to ask the questions. There are those times where it's like, man, this individual is just nonstop questions. Really take the time to craft your message, your questions. You may think it's a stupid question, but there may be someone else that has the same question or had that same question when they started, and it's an opportunity for them to share their knowledge. So I think that's what I would recommend on those first days.
Gilbert, how about for you? What do you recommend to your new team members?
I would say be early, be humble. Make sure you take a pen and paper with you so you can take plenty of notes. As Chris mentioned, ask questions. Work safely. And know that managers, they're going to know that you're nervous. They're going to know it's your first day. They don't expect a lot, but they do expect reliability, attitude, and a willingness to learn. They know they're not going to get perfection, but just show that willingness, show that effort is what they're looking for. And like Chris said, don't ruffle any feathers. Your job is to fit in, do your work. Later, you can stand out. Later, you can show them how you shine. But until then, just keep your nose to the grindstone. And if you have any questions, ask your supervisor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my field communications, but boy, a lot of stuff are good communication tactics. So sometimes it can just be seeking to understand and repeating back an instruction. Again, you want to sort of, we call it being a tuning fork. You want to tune with your audience and be on the same wavelength, but repeating back an instruction or saying, let me make sure I understand this, is a pretty good way to go about it, because you are handling multi-million-dollar pieces of equipment. If you're using a Vector truck, a truck that is worth over $1 million, and has things that can injure people. So it's good communication skills. Take a communications class is my sale. It's time for questions. Patrick, first up, sir.
Hi guys, how you guys doing?
Good.
Thanks. So I'm currently enrolled in an operator in training course at Castro Valley Adult Education, and I'm telling you guys right now, I'm so excited and enthused, trying to get into the wastewater side of things. I have taken 4 tours already. Actually, took one yesterday at the Hayward wastewater treatment plant. And my question for you guys, if I do, once I graduate, which will be in June, I know I'll be able to get the OIT certificate. Once you apply and go to the interview process, oh, I'll be in front of a panel, right? How long usually does the interview process last? And I know you guys went over some questions, but what else can you guys tell me about the interview process for wastewater?
I can speak to that if you'd like. I've been on several panels. The posting will be out for about 14 days. You won't hear anything for maybe 1 or 2 weeks. When they reach back out to you, if you're selected, they'll ask you to pick a time and date. If you're not selected, they'll say, thank you for your application, but we went a different direction. When you are scheduled for that interview, you're going to go in. panel. It's a typical panel interview, 3 to 4 people. It'll be about 45, maybe 50 minutes. Usually that's about the exact time for all to answer properly all of those questions. After that, shake hands, thank or ask questions, but thank them, shake their hands, head out the door, and they'll most likely let you know, like, oh, we'll be in touch within the next week, within the next 2 weeks. So you just sit and wait by the phone. Sometimes there's a second interview, and it'll be a technical interview first, and then it might be a fit interview. And the fit interview is more like along their emotional intelligence and how you work with the team, what your leadership, your conflict avoidance, all of these things that are people skills. Whereas the first would be technical. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. And then following that, can you give me like, I know you said after the interview, you guys always ask that question. Well, what else do you guys want to know? Can you give me some questions I could ask at the end of an interview that might help me out, shine or something like that?
Well, for me, I usually ask how many positions are available. I usually ask what they are looking for. And then I usually ask them something about their process, something about what they do there. You need to show a little bit of interest. Like Chris said, don't go in there and just say, like, no, I don't got any questions. Goodbye. It's give and take. They want your questions too. They want to make sure that they're getting a quality person, a person who has thought, well in advance, that they're not just going into the interview and handling it. They want to see that communication back both ways.
Copy. That answers my question. Thank you so much.
Chris, anything to add?
Yeah, no, Gilbert's doing a fantastic job with a very thorough answer. So just maybe to round it out, on that end, I don't think it's really the intent to go in there and have an outline of these are the questions I'm going to ask. You also want to have a little bit of fluidity. You basically want to feel out the room as you go through that panel process and really see how things are going. One of the common questions, hey, what's a typical day like? Maybe that individual is not part of the actual department that you're being hiring into. How does this department interact with your department? And kind of use it as an opportunity as they're sharing stuff to build those questions towards the end. The other thing, and this is, I think, common amongst the three of us, Alec and Gilbert would probably agree. You want to concentrate on those questions that are asked and really, really focus, just stay on track. It's also an opportunity for you to not, for lack of better terms, beat around the bush and BS. Not everybody has every answer and has all that experience. Don't be afraid to share your weaknesses or your lack of experience, but always follow up those negatives with a positive. I'm always looking for an opportunity to learn or be exposed to this, that, or the other. I volunteer this for these projects or whatever it may be, but don't be afraid to not have the exact answer that they're looking for. Use it as an opportunity to share how you would obtain that.
So something like, for example, I'm pretty green in the field, I'll be honest. So like I've learned like I should learn my pumps. There's so many different type of pumps and blowers that happens to wastewater. I mean, that's in operation. So I could say something to where like I haven't really worked on pumps, but I've been studying on how pumps work and the I don't know, maybe get a chance to work on them. I could learn and try to fix them. Is that a good way of saying, going about answering that kind of question? Because, like I said, I am pretty green, and I do get nervous on interviews when I don't know something, especially like something like pumps.
You are on the right track. In communications, we use, and it's from the stage, yes and. So you're gonna try to, like Chris said, turn a negative into a positive. So you have no experience in pumps, but you want to say, I'm coachable, I want to learn. And you're going to want to demonstrate that. Yes, I want to learn that. And here is how I've gone about learning about other things, studying the pumps in class, studying this video about pumps. You're exactly on the right track, Patrick.
Oh, thank you.
And let's go to Stephanie. Stephanie, you want to ask your question?
Yes, thank you. So I'm actually in the middle of working right now, and I had to pop off from 11 to 11:30. So I actually don't really have a sense of what has been discussed so far, uh, and I'm excited to listen to the recording. But I'll just go ahead and pop in with my question. Uh, my background, I have a 25-year career, PhD in a science industry. So my industry is biomedical science. So I come from a background of the framework of regulatory, framework of leadership, framework of understanding technical environments. But I'm currently in a career reset. I work for the city of San Diego, but I'm looking at getting into um, something where I can leverage my technical background, but I don't have that technical side of water. But I definitely have the deep expertise in science. I have publications, academic research, started a couple biotech companies. So I've been doing a lot of networking at the city of San Diego, and I'm meeting people. Uh, Kind of related to the last question, when I do get into an opportunity where I have an interview, I want to be able to self-study right now, uh, to have that water knowledge as much as I can gain and tie the two together to translate the experience that I have in science, but from a water perspective. So I'm really looking at from the experts in the room, given I'm not going to go back to school and get a PhD or a degree in water, what could I self-study now to get a good background in water or like that upper management position? Uh, Anyways, that's kind of, and if,
That's
you
good
know,
stuff. Yeah,
if
Stephanie.
it's like, hey, let's think about it and you can email me later, I would
Yeah,
love
Stephanie,
that.
that's great. Can you tell me which role? So you're saying like regulatory affairs, or you want to be in operations?
So I'll say what my ideal role is. It
Yeah.
actually came up recently at the city of San Diego. It's a program manager role. It requires a PhD. It's interfacing with a lot of different stakeholders. So around policy, around regulatory compliance, and presenting scientific research to the different stakeholders.
Okay, got it. So
But for
yeah.
me, I don't have that. You know, I definitely have everything except the niche background in water,
You
like
do.
the science of water.
Got it. Thanks, Stephanie. Chris or Gilbert, what do you think?
I would think she stands a pretty good chance with environmental compliance, regulatory, maybe in the lab. There's a lot of agencies that have labs on site as a scientist. To study those, to get into that, you could try CWEA, maybe get, the very basic entry level course. They have one for lab tech and they have one for environmental compliance inspector. And then also maybe look into Ken Carey courses. I can't remember if they're Cal State Sacramento or UC Sacramento. I think it's Cal
Cal
State.
State, Sacramento.
Yeah, those are really good courses. A lot of people in the water industry take those. And that's honestly where I would start if I wanted to start to learn about water. Um, with your background, I'm sure you could stand a really good chance getting into that scientist role or the ECI role.
Yeah. And Chris, do you have anything? I've got a
No, I was kind of going along the same lines of the online
Yeah.
opportunities. So um, I would agree with your background. There are plenty of opportunities out there. Um, one of the things I use when I do maybe job fairs and whatnot is it high schools or junior colleges. What's your favorite subject? And it's interesting when someone says, "Oh, I have my favorite subject is English." How does that have anything to do with the water or wastewater industry? There are plenty of job opportunities that basically encompass all of the different subjects out there, whether it's English, math, science, mathematics, even history, political science. There is a niche in every organization for individuals with that kind of background. And I would agree 100% with Gilbert. I think someone with your background, environmental, especially on the wastewater side, plenty of opportunities. And even on the water side, lab technicians, um, some sort of analyst within those divisions. But I think what would help get you that extra feathers in the cap is taking those opportunities for those online, readily available courses and little programs that are available.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And one of the easiest, the D2 called the distribution grade 2, it's tough math, it's tough regulatory stuff, but with your background, not need too much. You do need to take a 36-hour course. This is a requirement the state has in order to sit for that exam, but you don't need any experience, I don't believe, Chris, for the D2. And so you can, particularly with a college degree and that level of background, you can move through the D2 pretty quickly.
You are correct. To satisfy the requirements to take the D2 or even the T2, you just have to complete that 36-hour course in either distribution or treatment.
Yeah. And so, like you said, then it's on your resume. Like Gilbert said, the laboratory certification, CWA grade 1, does not require any experience. And that, again, with a lot of scientific and math background, I don't want to say easy. I need a synonym for easy. Next question is Stacy's. So Stacy, this is the chicken and the egg, right? We have these entry level roles, and then in the interview they ask, "What has been your best project?" So how do you answer as someone who hasn't done a project? You're in the interview. What is your best project? Did you?
I think if you haven't had a project, I mean, you're entry level, you can let them know that right off the bat. I don't have any projects within water, but prior to that, in my job, my current job, my previous employer, you can bring that up and relate it. It's all the same. Projects are projects. If you have a project management certificate, that's good across all different types of vocations. I'm sure there's something that you could find as a project, and just let them know what your role in it was, how you handled setbacks, and how you managed the project. That's what they really want to hear, and how it turned out. I hope that answered your question.
Chris?
Yeah, and maybe to add to that, I think this is one of those questions that a lot of applicants stumble on, and they tend to not look at it outside of the lenses, so to speak. Really be open, think outside of the box, and expand your perception, so to speak, on the things that you have done. Going to school, there were probably projects, so to speak, that you completed. How did you go about setting up the process to complete it? It's basically the same process that you would do if you were doing a project out in the real world in the water industry. So they're looking for a response that relates to processes that are used to fulfill the completion of a project, regardless of what that project may be. It could have been doing a book report. It could have been doing testing a backflow or repairing this item. It's just trying to find relatable experience that you understand the processes to get through from start to finish.
What do you guys think about this? What if they have no water, but they have PTA or a soccer club or a church program, is sort of organizing and managing groups, something they could lean on and pull a story from that?
100%.
go with
Yeah,
what you
absolutely.
got. So, you know,
Yeah.
this, we call it thinking on your feet. Marlene has a similar one. So the internships are limited in her area, and many of the entry levels require 1 to 3 years of experience. Chicken and egg. Is that a hard requirement, or is there a way to bridge that experience gap?
I think it's a very unique situation, especially across the state of California. Depending on where you're at, you do run into a little bit of those speed bumps. Depending on if it's on the water side or the wastewater side, there tends to be a little bit of a difference in the requirements. The wastewater side being a little bit more stringent. Um, Sometimes you can get in as an unpaid intern or volunteer to where you're able to take advantage of some opportunities, which can be very challenging. But the one thing that I always tell individuals, sometimes you have to take those opportunities. Maybe it's less pay, maybe it's a demotion, to be able to take advantage of that opportunity that may further your career on the backside. So that's my first pass on that. I don't know, Gilbert, do you have anything to add?
The only thing I could add is maybe talk to the agencies that are around you. Maybe they have some work on the weekends or something that they'd be happy to train you on or show you. Of course, it would be free, but I mean, you would be getting that experience and you would be getting that exposure and networking at the same time.
Yeah, this is a numbers game with our applications in our field. You're probably going to have to go through a lot of interviews for that first job. And I think that's why a lot of us say go for any job, including volunteering. It's not often, but the city of San Luis Obispo has a giant volunteer program, very, very highly structured, small plants, you know, in the central or rural areas, not as structured, but it is getting your hours and is something to put on your resume as well as a reference to put on your resume. And any job. There are jobs that post called helper or utility laborer, meter reader, assistant. Once you are in that agency, they take care of everything. They pay for your certifications, your future training. They have education reimbursement, so you can go to class and they'll pay for it. So it's just getting that first job, and I would say almost get anything. Communications, get a communications job.
Yeah,
All
I
right, we
think
have.
Alec, maybe just to add on to what you just said, and it actually is something very that we try to focus on is a lot of individuals take classes, operator classes, whether it's distribution or treatment or even on the wastewater side, and they are in the mindset, I'm going to be an operator. The reality is, as you just mentioned, Alec, you want to get your foot in the door regardless of what that position is. Eventually, if that is your career goal, you will have a better opportunity of becoming that if you have your foot in the door versus, nope, I'm not going to interview for that position because it's not an operator position. So just wanted to add that.
Yeah, you know, there are 30,000 certified distribution operators. So water distribution is like the biggest category out there. And then there's also collection systems. And even in those, there are helpers, equipment operators, and other roles. So, um, like we've been saying, the theme is to expand your view of the interview panel, of the job title you're searching for, expand that worldview. I think that's a good takeaway. Jimmy, yeah, go ahead. What's your question?
All right. I just want to first say thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your experiences and having this event. I really appreciate it. So I'm transitioning from the military. I spent 21 years as a utilities officer, started as a water support technician. So I have, I would say, translatable skills from the military. I'm finishing my bachelor's degree now in management. And my question is, maybe you can talk about some of the likes and dislikes of each, you know, road that I can take, whether it's distribution, treatment, or wastewater.
Yeah, I think you honestly, and this may offend some of the other people on this call, you have a leg up on some people having your military background. Water agencies, whether it's water or wastewater, are always looking for individuals that have come out of the military. There are a lot of programs that help with that transition. A lot of the skills across the armed forces are directly relatable to a lot of the day-to-day tasks. And that's one of those things that we've all mentioned today is looking outside of the box in regards to a relatable experience. And it sounds like you have some that would give you that edge even without the coursework. Coursework is going to even put you that much further ahead, but there are agencies that is what they are looking for, is individuals that come out of that for a variety of different reasons. So I'm not too sure, Gilbert, if you have anything you'd like to add.
No, you're absolutely right, Chris. They not only are they seeking the veteran, but they're also willing to give a small like bump in your interview. It would be like a 5-point bump because you are a veteran. Um, I'm not sure which direction you want to go. There's plenty in the water and wastewater industries, but you're already off to a good start because you're completing your bachelor's. And Chris is right. All of those skills, all of those leadership skills and management, that translates into private work, public work, excuse me, public work with water and wastewater industries.
Yeah, and in your area is a group called Baywork. So that's an association of all the agencies that are working on recruitment, and they have some military resources. And I think, leaning on the Veterans Network, any connection you can make with someone is going to help. And there is a big Veterans Network throughout the water industry up there. So going to CWA events or going to Cal Nevada AWWA events up there is really going to help. Kenneth, what's your question?
How's it going? I just want to thank you guys for this, for this opportunity to learn more. My question is, I'm currently, I thankfully got a position as a meter reader. I've been talking to the water department, just, trying to up in my career. I talked to the hiring managers, and they say that they only require one introductory course, which I believe will be the same thing for the D2 and T2 to take the intro course. So my question is, would it be helpful to complete the entire water technology program at my community college, or rather than just taking that simple one class, get my D2, T2, and just continue to move along rather than, going to school?
I think it's all about how marketable you want to be. If you want the certificate, then that meets the requirement, and your chances are good that you have the experience and the certification. But also, if you want to be more marketable, you want to beat out that other person, I do think you need to have the schooling as well, or at least a little bit of coursework. They look for that. That's another feather in your cap. But like I said, if you can go either route, I know how difficult it is having, a wife and kids and trying to go to school at the same time and work 40 hours a week. It's tough. But I made a little bit of a sacrifice. I chipped away at it very slowly, but it helped in the long run, having that to add to my marketability.
Yeah, and maybe to add to the marketability, you are ultimately the driver of your career path. What are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? How does that certification and coursework play into that, as Gilbert mentioned? In addition to just completing that certification, that allows you to use that towards experience for further certification as far as years in the field. So there's a lot of different things that can come into play besides just getting your D2 and T2. If you have aspirations to go for your D3 or higher certifications, if it allows, taking that coursework, completing your certificate, maybe getting your AA will help take some of those years of experience off of the marker, so to speak. So.
Yeah, I've run into a lot of people who say they just studied the book, like a night shift worker. They just studied the Ken Carey Sachs state book I just put in the chat. It's like 250 pages. You're going to learn a heck of a lot. And this is the wastewater path. The distribution and the treatment path are a little different. But both pathways are available. The associate's degree looks great on your resume, but man, this job is about getting it done. And we always want to exceed the requirement. That is our profession. We're like overachievers, particularly Dr. Barela and Chris, the leadership. But this is regulatory. If you tick the box, I have taken the 36 online hour, I have taken the state certification exam, and I have obtained the distribution 2. Tick, you're done. You own that certificate. That certificate is yours. And whether you got it just reading a textbook or going through college courses, I've seen both pathways work. But you are going to go back to college eventually, and they'll pay for it with their education grants.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
You bet, Ken. All right. Jordan says, switching from a barber to water. He's completing the 36-hour course and going for the D2. So do you guys recommend a start in a municipal city water department or a private, like Golden State Water or Cal Water? What, light side or dark side? We joke.
I'll say just one statement: get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. Yeah, as long as your foot's in the door, you can go anywhere.
Yeah, it depends on your neighborhood sometime. Like I'm here in the Gardena Torrance area. Golden State Water is huge. They have dozens of openings for water distribution operators. And people love that organization and stay with it. Others go to the municipal. And that is one of the great things about this industry is we're very small and we move around. And it's like, who moved my cheese? I'm just going to keep going until I find the right sized agency and role for me. And yeah, I think the privates are great. They want to get you in and get you going really fast. Yeah, Bella, NB, how are you?
Hi, everybody. It's helpful to know what I don't already know. I have recently actually withdrawn, at least for this semester, from classes. So I sort of put a halt on continuing towards my associate. Uh, I I guess the question would be, is an associate considered points on an interview or on a grading scale of you've accomplished this, you've accomplished this, you've accomplished this? Is a degree quantifiable?
Are you asking if it outweighs other things?
Right.
Yes, in essence, yes.
Yeah.
You do not have to have a degree for this industry. I've seen people in executive leadership that don't have a degree, but they have all the experience, they have all the certifications, and they do an amazing job. There's several routes into wherever you want to go. It's just basically what you want, where you see yourself going, what goals you have, and what's in your toolbox. Do you have a degree in your toolbox? Do you have a couple certs? Do you have a little bit of experience? You can always build on that once you get in the door. So I wouldn't weigh either as more important, but yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah, I would agree with Gilbert. Maybe the only thing I would add is not to push you one way or the other. It's not going to hurt you. That is the one thing. It really comes down to your goal. Where do you want to see yourself? And I'll use myself as an example. I have the AA. That's the only degree I have. I was in a position to where the next position up required a bachelor's degree. The interesting thing about the job description, it didn't say what that bachelor's degree had to be in. And I went to my HR and I said, well, can you provide a little more clarification? And the response was actually kind of on the disappointing side, to be honest. It was like, you just need a degree, Chris. Well, if I just need a degree, then, what value if it doesn't relate to anything that I'm doing? I did try to pursue it right at the start of COVID. And I was burning the candle at every single end you could think of. And I finally got to a point and I sat down with my wife and I said, I just can't do it. It's not worth it to me. And I said, I'm going to hang my hat up on that. I don't need to pursue it. What was interesting, when the position was posted, the job description changed to say, instead of being required, desired. I did interview for the position. I did not get it in the long story. But it was actually a blessing in disguise for a variety of different reasons. But ultimately, it is not going to hurt you, but it really is based on your desires.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, there are so many different roles available, and it's good to read the job descriptions as they're coming across BC Water jobs or CWA jobs and sort of look what agencies are requiring.
Hi, I'm actually located in Oregon, and I did every single thing that Sac State offers for water treatment. I think it's like 40 different. I've literally done all of them. I've also read the Ken Carey book back to cover like 5 times, so I'm totally vibing with what you guys are saying. In the second one, I actually failed, so I had to redo it. So yeah, definitely read those books. They're good. But I was wanting to move back to California, and so I just want to make more connections in Cali as well as get my operator position because I do think now that I've worked a year and I have my licenses, I should get an actual position, not a trainee. Also, because I need to pay off college debt. And I was wondering what advice you guys had for not only the move and the fact that I haven't been to Cali with all the certs, but also like landing your operator position. And then also, I do want to go into management. That's why I got my organizational leadership degree. What would your advice be for when I land an operator position?
I think I mean, it sounds like you have a goal. You've set it out there and you're pursuing it. I'll be honest, I'm not very familiar with the reciprocity from Oregon to California. That is one of the things that I would definitely look into
It's
just
not
to make
good.
sure you are prepared for that.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing I'll add, and I'll pass it over to Gilbert, is I mentioned earlier about potential demotion. You may have that experience, you may have a little bit of time in the seat, but you may come down here and not be offered a position of an equivalent. Maybe you have to demote and take something a little less, but ultimately it all goes back to the same statement we've been making. Get your foot in the door and let the career path follow suit.
Gilbert,
Absolutely. You're
yeah,
you're absolutely correct.
she's following in your
Uh,
footsteps, Gilbert.
yeah. I've had a few friends that came from like Arizona, and they were, level 4 collection operators. There wasn't reciprocity with the California Water Environment Association, unfortunately. I think they're working on it currently, but you need to be prepared for that because you're at a certain level in Oregon, and you come here. Like Chris said, you might have to start. You might have to take that lower position, but don't let it discourage you because people move pretty quick, especially with your credentials. You're not going to stay there for long. And like Chris has said, just get your foot in the door. Once you're there, then you can decide what you're going to do.
Yeah. And Nina, I would say, so you're aware, and you may know this, the Bay Area and the LA Orange County area are highly competitive for operators, hugely competitive. As you move out, San Diego has so many little agencies, just random. In Los Angeles, there's two, the City of Los Angeles Bureau of Sanitation and LA County Sanitation Districts. They're just two agencies. So everyone is going for a role there. San Diego has tons of smaller agencies throughout those coastal communities. And as you go inland, the Inland Empire, or you go into the Central Valley, a lot of medium and small sized agencies, a little less, not competitive, but few, there's not hundreds of applicants on an East Bay mud operator job will get a couple hundred applicants, but it might be yours.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm noticing the job market right now is a little rough. We've been at least talking about it among the College of Business. So yeah, I've just been trying to figure out like where I can land my operator position because I know once I land somewhere I can do fine. And I did have to unfortunately do my Oregon certification and my Cali differently because apparently there's the ABC test, which is why they don't coordinate. So yeah, I was just wondering if anyone here had any connections for open positions that they could refer
yeah,
me to or something like that. Um, but yeah.
definitely, the Central Valley is beautiful. I mean, Sacramento, Modesto, Bakersfield. Okay, it's got its rugged charm. Man, those agencies are hiring like crazy, and a lot is going on. Fresno too. Sorry. And let's get into conferences because I think that's a great way for someone like you, Nina, to get plugged in and network with folks. But Gilbert, I wanted to ask you, you've been president of one of our professional associations, CWA. Why take time to write a book?
Oh, um, that's a long story, but I'll give you the condensed version. Um, like I mentioned before, I came up through the ranks and I noticed a lot of poor leadership. Once I became a leader, I noticed that my style of leadership was kind of a cross between a grounded leadership and an integrator leadership. So I put them together, making the acronym GIL, Grounded Integrator Leadership. And it's a leadership style that I developed because I saw this lack of people being promoted who didn't have much leadership preparation. I saw how well my leadership preparation had worked for me, and it's just a style about staying grounded in your principles while you're integrating people and process and performance. Because you have to remember that leadership it's not positional, it's behavioral. And I just wanted to get that out there to people who could use it.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And, stay curious, keep reading. There's even business books, Good to Great, and some others. Who Moved My Cheese is actually a book that'll make you think about searching for, what works for you in life. But keep reading and stay curious. So, leadership workshops, Gilbert's book are all great ways to sort of add to your perspectives on our industry. I think I'm going to go to our speed round. We'll talk about some of these conferences. So let me put Chris up here. And Chris, what is the value of the Water Conference of the West?
Yeah, Water Conference of the West. So this is a conference that is put on by Cal Nevada AWWA. It kind of takes the place of, in the past, they used to have a fall conference and a spring conference, and they've condensed it into a single conference that is this year taking place in San Diego, California, in April 6th through the 9th of 2026. The theme is All Hands on Water. Great opportunity for anybody in the industry or trying to get into the industry to attend. Do the hands-on competitions there on the left-hand side of the screen. Great technical sessions that will be presented on a lot of up-and-coming information or issues and challenges that agencies are seeing. Some good tours taking place. I think there's a reduced conference fee for students. I think it's as low as $10. And it is first part of April, so hopefully we'll see some really, really good weather.
Dr. Barela and Mr. Castaing. Any openings, Chris? We talk about all this entry-level stuff. Any internships or openings coming up?
Yeah, you can go onto the San Diego County Water Authority's website for any potential openings. There actually are a couple out there. We just had resignations submitted recently. There are some individuals that are planning to retire in the near future, so there is always opportunities for anybody looking for a potential internship. The Water Authority puts on a 4-quarter internship that starts in August. It basically follows the school year to where individuals that are accepted into the program go through 4 different quarters, 8-week sessions with different entities. Water is 1 quarter, distribution, treatment, and then wastewater. So it's an opportunity to get exposed to all 4 different items. Great opportunity. Last year we had, I believe it was 12 individuals, and 5 of them have been hired. And we're just now starting the 3rd quarter. So great opportunity out there. And I see the link got put in the chat.
Yeah. How about in Jurupa, Inland Empire?
At Jurupa, you can go to jcsd.us. Since we are a community district, we offer other positions that support water as well. So right now we have an opening for a government and public affairs intern. We have a Parks and Recreation administrative specialist, senior rec leader, recreation leader, and a source control manager. And I was told that very shortly, if you stay tuned, they're going to be posting some internships as well. And just like Chris mentioned, they do a round robin here, and the chances of getting hired after the internship are very high.
Yeah. And, the medium-sized districts, Patrick, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is I guess this is a question or a comment for Chris. So, Chris, my dream is to retire in San Diego. So, somebody like me would want to come to San Diego and work at the wastewater treatment plant. Is currently right a lot of postings open right now? Or like in the future, is there more expansion happening in the San Diego area?
It is one of those things that is the water authority. We are the wholesaler, so we provide untreated and treated water to the member agencies. There's more than 20 plus water and wastewater agencies in the region. So there's always plenty of opportunities down here. And, we've all heard the terminology, the gray tsunami, lots of retirements, lots of opportunities on the horizon. So just keep checking all those different forums and websites for any potential opportunities for sure.
So,
Yeah,
and this is for everybody, and I guess in the next 5 years, is there a big crop of retirees happening in the industry?
big time.
I think we're in the middle of it. So I've seen a lot
Okay.
of people retire.
So but they always say they're going to retire. They never do.
Yeah, that's
We've
true.
been about 30% now for 10 years, but one agency has 50% are eligible. So it's like I don't know, sword of hanging over our necks. If the people get too stressed out, they'll all leave. But right now, it is a slow trickle. And then NB's asked for the 30-second difference. So a certification is a proof of your knowledge, your body of knowledge, and that is you need to study and prepare and meet the minimum qualifications, and you take an exam in a secure location. And then this is for CWA, Cal Nevada, or the State Water Board. And that certification exam will have 100 questions, and they have a cut rate, like 70 correct answers or 80 correct. They keep moving it. But if you answer all those correctly, you've proven your body of knowledge. You hold that certification. A certificate is like after a class. You take a HAZWOPER or you take a CPR class or a forklift class. You go to the class, you answer some questions on exam. They give you a certificate. And so certificates are a little faster, a little easier to get. That would be the main differences. And then the certification comes with forever paying a fee. You got to pay the state renewal. You got to go get contact hours. Certification is, like I said, a proof of your knowledge. And it just is a reassurance to the public and the agency that you know what you're doing. That certification is proof that you know what you're doing. Yeah, Jimmy, last question. Take us out.
Just real quick, would you gentlemen be okay with connections on LinkedIn just to remain in your networks?
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for today.
Yeah, Gilbert, Chris, thank you guys so much. Let's do it again. And we hope to see all of you in person at one of these events and out there in the field one of these days soon. Thank you so much.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Gilbert. Thanks, Chris.
Have a good one.
You too.